I had the flag, like, I am the vegan Latina. I really thought that that was the healthiest way that you could eat. So it's this whole like brand that I've built on veganism. You're at the top and like everyone loves you. The next day, it's like you're getting hate on every single thing, every single post.
I am so curious how you even got into raw food to begin with. Like, is this something that you saw on a commercial? Did you read it in Us Weekly? Did a friend tell you about it? Like, how do you even get into raw food?
So the way that it happened, it was 2013, and I had just had my a surgery to get implants. So I got an implant surgery, and the doctor was like, "Hey, after surgery, you can't drink, you can't smoke." Because I was smoking cigarettes at the time. I was like drinking and just like being like a normal just person. I was living in Mexico City, working, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to use this as like a little detox. Maybe I'll lose some weight. So then I got the surgery and I was like, for the first time in my life, like in bed, just like with myself. I couldn't drive. So I don't know why, but I started asking myself like questions like, what's my purpose here? I started realizing that I wasn't truly like happy and like nothing excited me in life. So I came up to my dad and I was like, hey, like I'm going through this. Like, what do you think I should do? Because at the time I was already taking anxiety meds. And so he's like, hey, go to this place called Optimum Health Institute in San Diego. And you're going to go detox there. And he had been there because he's always suffered from a lot of allergies and addictions too. I'll get to that. So he's like, go there, you'll detox, you'll eat raw foods and drink juice and get massages. And I was like, okay. So I was there for a week. And then after a week so I got there and all you could eat was raw foods. And I had never heard of this term. I knew about vegetarianism, but I never knew about raw foods. So a lot of the people there that were there, they were actually sick. They had cancer or had diabetes or high blood pressure. And I was the youngest person there. So then I started feeling really good. Like I just started feeling like a lot of energy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is what I need to do. Just like change do this for a little while. And then I ended up staying 2 weeks. And then at the second week, I was like, okay, I think what I need to do to feel better is to stop drinking alcohol. So
how often were you drinking?
Like I was having blackouts every weekend.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Just
okay.
like
so you're getting after it.
Yeah. It was just like I extended my party season from college to, being in my 20s. And so
a lot of people do that.
Huh?
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
I may have been guilty of that at times.
It was fun, but I feel like I was getting to a point where it was just getting out of hand. And I realized that it wasn't leading me down a good path. So I grew up Christian, I believe in God and Jesus. And so I knelt down like one day, like random, like I hadn't prayed in years. And I was like, God, like I need help. Like I know that I have to stop drinking alcohol, but I can't really do it alone. Like I need like a higher power to help me. So honestly, like after that day, I just didn't really feel like that much of a craving. I did have like a few drinks after that, but that was like the thing that I was like, I have to substitute whatever I was doing. So I went to a total extreme of eating raw foods, juicing. I got a juicer, a Vitamix. Like I was like, I'm going to do this. I got books. And then I went back to Mexico City and I started doing this. And I was like, who's like even eating this way? Because I kept the raw foods after the detox. And
would you say you have an addictive personality, or was it just something you're just like partying a lot?
I definitely feel like, so alcoholism does run in my family from both sides, from my mom and my dad. They don't drink anymore. No one, like barely any, a lot of my family members are actually in AA because it's like a known thing. So I definitely feel like I have addictive extreme tendencies, which I am like always like I'm very aware of that. So I try to like keep myself balanced in check.
And just to go back for 1 second, you said that when you decided to go to this clinic after you got your implants that you were unhappy. Looking back before that, what was making you unhappy? Was it the alcohol?
I think it was like when you drink, you get into a depressive state. And like alcohol is like I don't know if you've ever had just like the Sunday, what do you call it? Like when
Sunday
you,
scaries.
Yeah,
Sunday
we've had a couple of the Sunday scaries.
I've had plenty of the Sunday
that
I can
just,
relate.
No, but
that just felt like my life.
yeah, I
you
think-
know?
I want to be careful on how I say this, but I think there's people who obviously really struggle with addiction and can't partake in substances at all because it just doesn't fit their psychological makeup or their personality. But then I think there's some people that have just got into this habitual social drinking space, right? Like Lauren and I did that. And I don't think people realize how much that stuff affects their system until you really get it out of your system for a while.
For sure.
And we've talked about it on the show, taking long breaks, and it completely changed our relationship. But I think sometimes people, they go through life like, hey, I'm a little depressed or I'm a little off or something's not right. And they don't think like, hey, well, I'm drinking alcohol every single week, multiple times a week. And maybe they don't have quote unquote an addiction or a problem with it like some people in AA do or whatever. But I don't think they really understand what it's like to have it out of their life and how much different you feel when your body completely detoxes from it.
100%. And that's what I felt. Like I had never had it completely out of my life for many years. And I think when I experienced that, I was like I kind of felt like how I felt when I was younger, like 15, 16, when I didn't drink. And I felt great. And I started, at this place, I learned about the importance of getting sunlight and like exercising and walking and like what is a chiropractor and colonics and wheatgrass juice and all. Like I was introduced into this wellness world that I was like, oh my gosh, is this amazing? Like I was just, I don't know why I was so attracted to it. So I left there and I like stopped smoking because I was smoking like half a pack of cigarettes. I lived in Paris. I went to college and I lived in Paris for like 3.5 years. So like I picked up the habit of smoking cigarettes and I just started living my life differently. And then as I was doing this, I started sharing it on my personal social media. Like I started sharing like the juices that I was making, the smoothies. And then like my friends started asking like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what's this recipe? And it kind of like, there was a word of mouth that like people started just following me on like my personal Instagram and Facebook. And then one of my friends was like, you should open up a blog. And I was like, what's a blog? And she's like, it's this website and you'll like write on there and you can put your recipes. And like, I want to see all of that. You should do it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I did it. And it was like kind of like my little hobby, like after work, I would go and like, I was so excited to like write on my blog and stuff. And then eventually I was like, who else is doing this? So I went on YouTube and I found some people that were raw vegans. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's like a whole community of these people.
Are we talking like Freely the Banana Girl? Yeah. Is that the moment in time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Freely the Banana Girl, Fully Raw Christina, and some other people. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, they're like this is like a lifestyle. This is like a thing. So then, because everywhere I was living in Mexico City, I would go to restaurants and I'd be like, I'm raw vegan. People would be like, what's that? Like, this is like 10 years ago. And they were like, they didn't even know what vegan was. They were like, oh, can you eat cheese? I'm like, no. So then eventually I was like, I said, I want to learn more and I want to help people because I was getting so many questions. So I signed up for IIN, for Institute of Integrated Nutrition, to become a health coach and like learn more about holistic healing. And then I found Dr. Graham, who was like this raw food chiropractor doctor who wrote a book, the 80-10-10 diet. And so I reached out to him. I went to all of his retreats and I got like really into it. I was like, I want to know everything there is to know about raw foods. And I want to teach people because I really thought that was the healthiest way that you could eat.
And at this point, what are you noticing from eating raw? Like looking back, what are the things that you were like so obsessed with this way of eating?
tons of energy, but I almost felt like high, like happy all the time, a lot of energy. I was exercising, running a lot. And I just felt like very clear-minded. But now looking back, I was like kind of like in a cloud. Like I was not very grounded at all. It was like kind of like a high, but I felt really good. And I think a big part of it was because obviously I cut out all these things.
That's the thing I always
all
ask
these like bad things.
People in this space is, and I'm sure we're going to get into some of the meat and some of those choices, but what were some of the things that you cut out immediately? Like obviously you were saying smoking or alcohol,
meat, dairy. Grains. Anything cooked. All I ate was raw foods, raw fruits and vegetables.
Like give us a day in the life when you're eating raw. Like tell me what are you waking up
raw
at?
Means you can't cook anything?
You don't cook anything. So you wake up, I would eat like half a watermelon, I don't know, fruit, usually half a watermelon or like 5 mangoes. And then for lunch, it would be like an acai bowl or a smoothie with just fruit. You can't have granola because that's cooked. And then dinner would be like a huge salad with like an avocado dressing.
Can I ask maybe an ignorant question? And people always get mad at me with these, but I understand ethical choices around going vegan or plant-based, right? If you have a problem with eating meat. I don't understand the health perspective, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, but I understand the ethical reasons. I don't understand at all why people would feel inclined to not cook their food.
Explain it to him.
Yeah, because I
understand, but he needs a little.
So the reason is, this is what raw foodists will tell you, is because when you cook food, you like kill all the nutrients. So you're not getting the nutrients from the food. So you're cooking the fruits and the vegetables. And so when you eat them raw, you're eating them in their purest form. And so your body is like absorbing everything better.
Okay.
Which like now to me doesn't make sense because it's really hard to digest a lot of these foods that I was eating, like the big salads. And so since it's hard to digest them, it's hard for your body to extract those nutrients too.
Here's what I will say, and you're the perfect person to ask this to. If someone gets diagnosed with a disease and they say, okay, I'm going to focus all my energy on fighting this disease, and I'm going to cut out smoking, and I'm going to cut out alcohol, and I'm going to cut out meat, and I'm going to cut out, processed cheese, and just gets really, really like specific with their diet and changes to vegan.
Yeah.
They are obviously going to feel better because they've cut out alcohol and smoking and the shitty meat. And so this is where it becomes tricky.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously going to feel better that they've cut out all these toxins. But I think where we're running into a problem as a society is people are becoming complete extremists.
Yeah.
So keep going with your story because I feel like you're the perfect person to talk on.
Yes. So I have one of my really good friends. She had cancer, thyroid cancer, and so she went on a raw foods diet for like a couple of years and went through all this like healing and she healed. And I feel like the diet, now she eats normal. Now she eats everything. But I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They like cut out all these things and they think, oh, meat was the problem, dairy was the problem. They think all these things was the problem when in fact it was the processed food, it was the junk food, it was the alcohol, the cigarettes,
or the shitty meat,
or like the sugar.
Where's the meat coming from?
Exactly. Yeah. Where is the meat coming from? So that's what I thought. I would tell people like eating meat is like it's so bad for you. Your arteries are gonna get clogged up. You're gonna like feel lethargic, and because also I was just feeding my I was just getting information from like a bias, like from just the plant-based and the vegan movement. So that's all I wanted to know too. Like I was completely closed to everything else because I really thought that this was like the healthiest way of eating. But after a few years, like my body just started to not feel as great. Like the first 2 years, I felt really good. And I feel like part of it was because my body still had like nutrient reserves, but eventually like I started feeling like my period went away. I didn't have a period for like 2 years,
wow.
which was, off. And then the raw food would be like, oh, that doesn't mean that you're not ovulating. It's okay if you don't have a period. So yeah. Yeah. Like yeah. So eventually I went to get blood work done, and then I was deficient in some things. And so I was like, okay, I was already craving cooked foods. So at year 3, I include cooked like sweet potatoes and beans and rice, and I just switched to a vegan diet. So I switched to a vegan diet, and then I felt a little bit better, but then it wasn't great. Like my gut wasn't, like, my digestion wasn't great. My hormones weren't getting better. My iron levels were never at the optimal. And so
So you were measuring this stuff with a doctor as you were progressing.
Yes, I was measuring ever since I switched to a vegan, from raw vegan to vegan. I was measuring, and I was never super deficient, but I was never at a good optimal level. And then I got to a point eventually where I had to just be honest with myself and be like, okay, do you really feel good? Do you feel do you really just is this really working for you? And just get that and once I had that conversation with myself, I was like, okay, I'm going to really do this. So I started to seek out doctors, vegan doctors, and being open about this. Hey, listen, I'm not feeling great.
You guys, the first of its kind. Let me introduce you to Lumi. It's seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. You can use it on your pits, your thigh folds, your belly button, your feet, and beyond. This is actually crazy that there's never been a whole body deodorant invented until now. Of course, it was created by an OBGYN who developed a uniquely formulated pH balanced deodorant. It's aluminum free, it's skin safe, and it's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours. I had the opportunity to try it out between my thighs. And let me tell you, it works. It's also pH balanced for safe use below the butt. And you can choose from some really fresh, bright scents. They have clean tangerine, lavender sage, or toasted coconut. I personally really like this when I wear those really short booty shorts to the gym and I'm working out, especially with Michael. Try it. The thighs is a move. You should also know that it's formulated with mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. So it's like a pre-odorant, if you will. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice. They have a mini body wash and deodorant wipes. It's all free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a Lumi starter pack with code SKINNY at lumideodorant.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you visit lumideodorant.com and use code SKINNY. Do you want to be a chef? Do you want to eat clean while you're a chef in the kitchen? Well, let me introduce you to Green Chef. It's the #1 meal kit for eating clean, with dinners that work for you, not the other way around. Let me introduce you to the #1 meal kit for eating clean. Okay. Green Chef. It's nutritionist approved recipes featuring clean ingredients. Everything they have has no artificial colors, no limited added sugars, and no limited processed ingredients. They have all different kinds of foods on their menu, from everything to calorie-smart meals under 700 calories, protein-packed meals with at least 40 grams of protein. They even have, and I think this is so cool, science-backed Mediterranean recipes. You can get vegan, you can get vegetarian, everything's plant-rich, certified organic. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of meal delivery services, but this one is really unique because everything is so clean. And I just think this is amazing. If you're busy, it's convenient, but it's also clean, which is so awesome. You should also know that Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh, which you've heard of. And so it gives you an option to switch between both brands. Our listeners can enjoy both with a discount. Go to greenchef.com/60skinny and use code 60skinny to get 60% off plus free shipping. That's greenchef.com/60skinny, the #1 meal kit for eating well. I am a big fan of a blowout. I like to go in, I like to get a scalp massage. I like to chill. I like to work on my emails. But the problem is the next day. So the next day I will wake up and my blowout will fall. But I'm going to introduce you to the new styling tool that is going to give you an effortless curl, especially the next day. It's something that I have been using for touch-ups, and it is called the Curl Secret by Conair. It is super affordable. It's actually on my desk right here, and it's something that you can use to curl your hair and do a really effortless, simple curl. But how I like to use it is what I'll do is after I get my blowout, the next morning I'll wake up and I'll just do a quick 5-minute touch-up. Super easy. The best part about this though, and why I like it, is there's a heat protector in it. And what is amazing is it's a ceramic barrel. So this ceramic barrel protects your hair. I am all about protecting the hair. You know, I have had quite the journey with my hair, and I'm just really trying to keep it as healthy as possible postpartum. So to know that it has that heat protector element in it is absolutely amazing. You should also know that there is an anti-tangle tech, and this keeps your hair smooth and protected while styling. So if you're looking for curls that are not like overly curly, this is your new touch-up tool. The Curl Secret by Conair. You can shop Curl Secret by Conair exclusively at Ulta. Hair goes in, curl comes out, just like magic. But there's something that you also have to speak on. Simultaneously as this is going on, you have a huge following.
Yes.
How much anxiety are you having? Your name on YouTube is Yovana.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you are known as the raw food girl.
Yes.
So I can only imagine at that time, because I remember that time,
Yeah.
when the trolls were really out. I mean, they're
Yeah.
still
So what
out.
happened? You cook a sweet potato and people lose
Yeah,
their shit
so
or
like
what?
when you're cooking a sweet potato all of a sudden, what's going on? Like you got to take us through because you're almost living
Yes.
two lives. You're living
Yes.
like this parallel life where it's your real life, and then you
Yeah.
have this online persona.
For sure. Yeah. So I forgot to mention that. So as I'm going through this journey of being raw vegan and vegan, I'm also sharing all of this. So my social media starts growing. And then eventually I changed my name to Yovana. So everyone called me Yovana. Like even my parents called me Yovana, my sister, my brother. And also one thing, so when I started my YouTube channel, I was the only Hispanic Spanish-speaking vegan on YouTube for like 3 years. Like there was no one else on there.
So I
And
imagine
she's not going to say this, but you were, I mean, you still are huge. This is
Yeah.
not like you didn't have like a couple thousand
well,
followers.
I imagine that community
Oh my
rallied around
gosh.
you as well
Yeah.
because you were one of the only ones.
I like helped like that community grow in Latin America.
Sure.
So yeah, that's actually like how my social media started. So when I got on YouTube and I saw all these people doing raw foods, I was like, there's no one doing this in Spanish. Like there's no one. Like why is no one talking about this? Like there's no information on like raw foods, veganism. And so I was like, I'm going to do it. And so I went back to live to San Diego to my parents' house, and I started my YouTube channel, and it just all really aligned. Like I found a guy who was like, he found me and he's like, hey, I want to help you start a YouTube channel. So he would come to my house, he would film, he would edit, he would do all of these things. And I like didn't really have to do much. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is like meant to be. Like everything is just happening. And I was really, I was helping a lot of people. I was like, it's like, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, veganism is all bad. Most of the people that follow me and that followed me at the time were people who were just trying to eat more fruits and vegetables. And
Yeah,
so
I don't think that's bad at all. I think
Yeah.
where you maybe get into some difficulty is when people go so extreme and they make it their identity.
Yes.
Right? Like your diet becomes who you are.
Yeah.
Which is always kind of a strange thing. It's like if the majority of who you are is based around the food you're eating, that's a weird position to be in.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then that's what happened to me. I mean, it became part of my identity. It was like my name and it was, yeah, the social media, like it just exploded. It grew a lot. And so as I'm like starting to not feel great on this vegan diet, I'm like, having millions of people follow me. So I have ebooks out. I have my app. I'm working with brands. So it's this whole like brand that I've built on veganism. Like I was like, I had the flag, like I am the vegan Latina.
So what's the first little trickle of the sweet potato? How did you implement the lentils into this conversation?
I was joking. Was it really a sweet potato that set people
It was
off?
a pumpkin. Well, that was like when I went to when I started eating vegan. And I remember
This is why though. Listen, I know people on the internet are wild. The reason that I personally have never been able to take anger on the internet seriously.
Yeah.
I've just never cared about what people are flustered about is because I am now sitting on this show learning that people are mad that somebody cooked a fucking pumpkin. And they've
Hold
lost
on,
it.
I need to hear like the pumpkin story.
I'm basing anytime I see.
I mean, there's a video on YouTube where I'm like eating my first cooked food, and I don't know how many years.
Anytime I see a bad comment, I'm like, "Are you one of the people that's mad about the pumpkin?" That's what goes through my mind. And listen, it's completely warped my idea of what I perceive to be reasonable to be upset about, and now I just discount what everyone's upset about because I can't trust the masses on the internet anymore.
Yeah, well, the raw food community was not happy actually.
I bet they're gonna be pissed about this. But,
yeah, I remember when I went to a raw food festival in Canada, and I was a speaker, but I was no longer raw vegan. Like I got some looks, but I think when I went from raw vegan to vegan, it wasn't that big of a deal because I feel like most of the people were happy because they're like, oh, like. Like I don't have to be raw vegan, you know, like or like they didn't feel. It was a little bit of a, and it was just like there's obviously more vegans than raw vegans out there.
But
so
let me ask you this: I imagine at the time when this is going on, and you're in this microcosm where you're getting maybe some flack, it probably feels intense, right? People are attacking you online, and you're in this community that feels very sizable because it's this cosm of the internet. But if you then went to somebody maybe outside that community and said, hey, I'm in this big fight. This person's really mad that I cooked this pumpkin. Like,
they would think that they were crazy.
Yeah.
No, it was, but for me, it was a big deal because I was raw vegan for, I was truly, I did not eat one cooked thing for 3 years. Like even everything, like even, I wouldn't even eat like raw or like cooked cashews.
Well, I'll say this about you then. You are disciplined.
So when you when you get on the video and you say, I'm eating my first cooked food and you eat a pumpkin, what's the reaction? Tell me exactly what it's like.
Most people, again, like I said, were happy. They were like, oh, like you're listening to your body, like good for you. And I feel like I had been raw vegan for 3 years. It's not like I had been raw vegan for like 10 years. And it wasn't actually that big of a deal. It was a big deal when I said that I wasn't getting my period. So that was like at the beginning. That was like when I mentioned that. And so like, that's when I was like, okay, there's something to this, but I couldn't really pinpoint it at the time that it wasn't like that healthy for me.
So it's interesting though, because Jordan Younger, we talked about this off air. She was the blonde vegan and she switched to the balanced blonde. And when she made that switch, I will never forget how she got attacked. I mean, it was out of control. Yes. Well,
that's when she made the transition from vegan to animal protein.
Got it.
So that's another transition that I made. Yes, that was like, that was 4 years ago.
That's the one where the pitchforks come out.
That was the bomb that exploded.
Okay, so after the pumpkin, how does it transpire?
So after the pumpkin, I'm vegan for 3 years, and this is when my everything, like my brand, really grew a lot more because I was vegan, so I could reach a bigger audience. So it wasn't just like raw food challenges. It was like I could, more people could actually do this. So that's when I had like my ebooks coming out. And so that's when I had just like everything just grew more, like because I was reaching
broader audience.
Yeah. So then 2018 comes around, and that was the year that I started to really feel like, okay, this is like, I'm really not feeling great. Just my digestion, my gut, my hormones, and just like mentally, I was always like very anxious, and I always felt hungry. Like I was like, why am I always hungry? I was eating all day. And so, that's when I started to work with vegan doctors, and I would literally like carry a bag of supplements everywhere I went because I was like, okay, this is for my iron, for my zinc. Like I would take so many supplements, and it was like not really working for me. So I moved from San Diego to LA in 2018. And then at the time, one of my team members that was with me, she was vegan for 10 years and she had just switched to eating animal protein. She's like, what if you would just incorporate some eggs into your diet? Like maybe this will help you feel better. And that's when I started to like toy around with the idea, like maybe this is what I need to do, because I've already tried eating all the tofu, all the tempeh, adding more protein and blah, 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 blah. And like nothing was working. So then I got married at the end of 2018. And so once I got married, it was like, okay, I want to be a mom eventually. I want to get pregnant. So I kind of have to think about like my body and my health a little bit more seriously.
Question: was not eating animal products specifically a health choice, or was there a moral reason as well?
It was more of a health choice.
More of a health choice. So you didn't have a problem incorporating eggs from a moral standpoint?
No, I mean, I when I was vegan, it was kind of like, oh, a 3-in-1. You're helping the animals, the planet, and your health. So, but it was more for health reasons.
Okay.
So when I started to like, I finally made the decision. I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat eggs. I'm like decided. This was the beginning of 2019. But I wasn't ready. I was like, okay, this is the real truth. I had just launched a program, an ebook that year, at the beginning of the year. And that was a big reason. I was like, I can't do both things at once. I can't launch this thing that I've been like working on for the whole year and, invested all this money and energy. And so I'm going to like stack them. So I'm going to launch this and then I'm going to come out and like say what I've been doing. And so that like, like looking back, I feel like I maybe would have just been like straight up honest from the beginning, and that's like something that I learned and that I like, take responsibility for. But at the time I was like, I just need to try this out for myself and like see what happens. So that's when I started eating eggs at the beginning of 2019. And then after like 2 months of incorporating eggs, I felt I honestly didn't feel like much of a difference at the beginning. Also, I had SIBO. So that was like the thing that like helped like made me change my diet. So I found out I had SIBO, and SIBO is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. So anything I ate would make me bloat like a pregnant woman. And I would go days with diarrhea, days with constipation, days with diarrhea, like that, like for months.
Oh, Christ.
It was bad. It was really bad. And so I was like, I went on this very strict SIBO diet. This is when I first started incorporating animal protein. And
quick question.
Yeah.
Did they ever tell you what the root cause of SIBO is? Or what they think it might be?
Well, I think it's just I wasn't feeding my gut properly. So It was like an overgrowth. I think it was just too many carbs, like too much sugar in like an overgrowth of, I think after just so many years of just like my body not digesting properly a lot of these foods. And then you add the stress from I was like working so much at the time. I was like 12-hour, work days, like filming and just traveling so much. And I wasn't really taking care of myself.
Okay.
So then, I go on this strict SIBO diet and I start feeling good. I add eggs and fish. Like those were the two things I added. I had to completely cut out all grains, all fruit. I only ate like veggies and fish and eggs for like 2 months. And I started to feel like a little bit better. But then then the news came out that I was not eating animal protein.
Oh, do you mean the news? Like, what did someone like take a picture of you?
Yes.
I think that's what Brent told me. Someone took a picture of you while you were eating. It was a video. Okay, tell me about that.
So what happened was that I was in Bali. I was on a trip with like these bloggers. And one of the girls, when we got back, she posted a vlog on her YouTube channel. And I was eating fish in the video. And she, quote unquote, forgot to take it out. And she has, at the time, like 9 million followers on YouTube. So the video comes out. And then an hour later, she's like, shit, the video, you're eating fish. I took it down already. I'm going to repost it and like cut that part out. But by that time, like there was already like videos on YouTube of people being like, Yovana's eating fish. So when that happened,
I'm trying to.
Ravana's eating fish. So that is what I think that's what I think that's why the news became like so viral, was because the way that the news came out. You know,
because
it was like a
somebody outed you and then they were looking at you like, hey, you're not being truthful about the content
to
you're
all
putting
your
out.
followers.
What is
exactly.
going on in your head in your home when this happens? Like, are you crying? Are you laughing? Are you indifferent?
I was crying.
You were crying.
I mean, I was crying. I was like, I mean, this is like the consequences of like not being honest. Like yes, people made a big deal out of it. And it was like just the perfect story to like, you know, influencer with millions of followers gets caught eating fish, and so it was like this thing where I knew that, but then I was like, there's nothing I can do about it. Like this is just the way it happened, and all I can do is just like sustain the storm.
Yeah, I mean, not to pick on you specifically. Obviously, you've had to pay the price for a lot of this and go through the repetitions of, you know, people online attacking you and stuff. But I think it's a problem for a lot of people that start to build a brand in a specific niche that they then grow out of, because it's like,
Yeah.
your livelihood and your living and your identity and your community is based in this whole life. And that doesn't, not just for diet, but there's a lot of people that, you know, whether it's fitness or health or whatever,
Yes.
whatever field they've chosen, makeup, beauty, and they pigeonhole themselves and then they can't evolve out of it because they've niche so hard down into this specific thing. Right.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think that's going on. So I always tell
Yeah.
people, like, you got to really like be careful what you do and what you put out on the internet, because
For sure.
especially if you're building a business off of yourself personally, you're going to personally change, especially, you know.
I think though there's a two-pronged approach to this. You have to be able to change your mind. There has to, like, I understand that people think, oh, because she ate like this, she has to eat like this for the rest of her life. That is an immature thought process. You have to be able to change your mind.
For
And
sure.
if you're following someone and you're not allowing space for them to evolve and change their mind, then that's a you problem. It's really not the creator's problem.
But I think what you're saying is you got in some hot water
Mm-hmm.
because you had built a business and were monetizing off of a specific lifestyle, and then you changed that lifestyle.
Yes.
And people found
Yeah.
out without you being able to tell them first.
For sure. That was the scandal. But I agree with that. Like I labeled myself as like, I am vegan, so I really learned to not label myself.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay to have like a niche, but like your person is like, like everyone is going to evolve and change. But it was just so sudden and no one really expected it. So I think that was a big part of it. And the vegan community is also very like, they can be very mean because I don't know why. They're just like not like the nicest people. Like all my quote unquote vegan friends that I had at the time, they just like completely like nixed me out of their life. Like,
Are they still vegan now?
Some of them, not all of them though.
I think, well, listen, we've had Paul Saladino on the show, and Paul, not to pick on you, but he went through a change too, where it was Carnivore MD, and now it's Paul Saladino, because he's saying like he's incorporating other things other than just meat. There's fruits and there's honey and there's all these things.
And he used to be
sure.
raw too, right?
He was raw vegan.
Yeah.
I did listen to that podcast.
But no, I think I think where people, especially what I was saying earlier, people who make diet their identity, they tend to be, in my experience, and again, like just interviewing a lot of people, the people that are the most touchy about people maybe questioning their lifestyle, because it's no longer, hey, I've chosen this diet and I think it's healthy. And it's like, no, this is who I am. And if you attack people who they are, that's why I think they get so upset, right?
For sure. Yeah. Because it becomes like your identity, and then you become part of a community that you meet other people who think like you. So it just, you feed off of that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to talk to people that are so far on the meat side and so far on the vegan side, because I am personally trying to get to the logic of like, what is the healthiest for myself, my family. Yeah. But sometimes that can't happen, because if you question their way of life, it's like, you're not questioning the diet anymore. You're questioning them as a person. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. They take it very personal.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had definitely fallen into that at one point. And I think I was like, health is like the main reason I got into this. And that doesn't feel like it's my priority anymore. So I was like, I need to go back to why I started all of this. And it was because of health. It wasn't because of veganism. It was like to feel good. So yeah, the news blows out. It goes viral all over the world, and it was like from one day to the next, it was like just, you're at the top and like everyone loves you. And then like the next day, it's like you're getting hate on every single thing, like every single post for a year at least was getting hate. Like, so I was like, at one point, I was like, do I really want to keep doing social media? Like, it was just a lot, because I was still putting myself out there. But then I thought about it. I was like, this is what I love to do, and I'm gonna just focus on the people that do care, because the haters were just really loud, but there were a lot of people that were supporting me and who wanted to know what I was doing. Like they were curious. And so I focused on that. And then I knew that eventually, some other news was going to come out and I wasn't going to be like top of mind. And I just focused on my health, and I just became like very open to trying whatever it was that I needed to try to like be good and be healthy. And so that's when I learned, about grass-fed meat. And my husband and I visited a farm in Orange County, and we saw how the cows were grazing around and what they were eating. And even though I wasn't comfortable eating meat yet, I knew that I needed to educate myself on the other side to just make better informed decisions and also just feel good about what I was doing.
I'm going to give you a beauty habit stack tip. So I am a big fan of scalp massage. I have done it forever, and I think it really helps to grow the hair because it boosts circulation. So many Hollywood actors do scalp massage. I'm telling you, it's a thing, the fascia. But here's the hack. You can add a hair serum to this, and it makes it even better. And I know this because I've been using Vegamour's hair serum. They have like this product that's called Grow, and I just massage it into my scalp. I'm not going to lie, I do it on dry hair. You can do it on dry or wet hair. I like it on dry because I'm not a big hair washer. I like their products because they're never formulated with harmful chemicals like parabens or hormones. So really getting in there with my fingers and massaging the hair serum into my hair just really has helped my hair grow. I've noticed just since going brunette and really sticking to a supplement routine and doing the scalp massage with the hair serum that I'm in like a really good rhythm with my hair. These are the things that have made all the difference. Everyone wants to grow long, luscious hair. Give your hair the power of the little pink bottle with Vegamour. For a limited time, him and her listeners get 20% off their first order by going to vegamour.com/skinny. Use code skinny at checkout. That's Vegamour, Vegamour.com/skinny. Code skinny to save 20% off your first order. Vegamour.com/skinny. Code skinny. The winner of the best multivitamin, in my opinion, is Ritual. Something I've been taking daily for years. I recommend this to all my friends, all my family. It is one of the most incredible multivitamins because everything is traceable. Everything's clean, it's bioavailable, and there's 9 key nutrients in just 2 capsules per day. So one of the like weird reasons I like this is it's like minty. There's like a minty essence in every bottle, but also it's soy-free, gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and formulated without GMOs. But most importantly, it has omega-3 DHA, which helps fight inflammation, and it has the best vitamin D, and it's all in the multivitamin. The one that I'm taking right now is the Essential for Women 18 plus, but I also took the pregnancy one while I was pregnant. So you can mix it up depending on where you are in your life. That minty essence will keep you coming back. It keeps things fresh. You also never like feel sick on it. You know how sometimes you take a vitamin and you don't feel good? Not with Ritual. They have a delayed release design, so you can take it on an empty stomach or with food. Ritual is all about hot data and stone cold facts. Get to know your nutrients on a deeper level with 30% off your first month. Visit ritual.com/skinny to start Ritual or add Essential for Women 18 plus to your subscription order today. That's ritual.com/skinny. Visit ritual.com/skinny. That's ritual.com/skinny. You mentioned off air that when you were eating raw that you were feeling like hair loss.
Oh yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that something that when you started eating fish, you felt immediately better, or was that a process?
It was a process. And it was a process to switch from being vegan to eating animal protein because I did feel like guilty for eating protein, not so much because of the animals. I just felt like it was just weird. Like I was vegan for so many years, and so it was like a process too. So for the first year, I was still eating like a lot of vegetables and just fish and eggs. And bone broth. Like I wasn't really eating much. So I didn't see much changes in my hair. It wasn't until I moved to Austin 2 years ago that I got pregnant, and that as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, okay, I'm going to get serious about my health. And so that's when I started eating more protein, and that's when I saw the change in my hair.
You know, you probably felt that way about meat because in a way it's a violation that like you eating fish was like put out there.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's kind of a violation of your privacy. And so I could understand why even behind closed doors, you have anxiety
Mhm.
about eating something.
Yeah.
Because it's like you associate that with being attacked.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely have like gone through therapy to like work through the trauma because it was
So,
and it's a unique trauma because you can't like call a friend to talk about this because what you went through is it's not like something a therapist hears every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But it was a lot of online hate. Yeah. For a long time.
there was also like, what'd you say this year was? Was it like 2019 or 2018? 2020?
2019.
2019.
When it came
Yeah, there was
out.
like a weird period of time, 2019 to 20, and obviously through 2020, where people were just like revved up online.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Yes.
people were just throwing heaters out in the comment section.
I know.
Um,
For anything you said.
From a health perspective, what were the things you noticed different when you were, I'm not even gonna say raw because I think that was so extreme, but when you were vegan and then when you started incorporating animal protein, like what were the main differences you noticed?
And also give us like the bad stuff too. I mean, maybe they're like you noticed.
Yeah, I want to know the good.
We want to
bad.
know all the things.
So I don't know if there's any bad things. I think once I really like adopted like eating animal protein, I was okay with eating it and I was eating it more frequently. I started feeling more of the benefits. And brain fog was one of the big things that I would feel when I was vegan. Like since I was hungry all the time, it was really hard for me to focus and like not think about food for like 3 hours or 2 hours even. So that was like one thing I noticed. Another one was just like more grounded. My digestion, obviously, like huge difference. Like no more bloating. Like I don't even know what bloating is now.
That is one thing I think is a myth when people say if you have animal products, you're not going to have good digestion.
Yeah.
Right. I think like that's just patently false.
So that your digestion is going to improve if you don't eat animal protein. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought too.
Yep.
That's what I thought. But then so talk about poop. Your poop is just not the same when you're vegan. It's just like
what do you mean?
Like it's just water. Like it's like a little bit more watery. Like it's not like fully. I don't know. That was like my case, and I know some vegans.
I mean,
too.
listen. Again, like people have come on the show and talk about like if you see an animal going to the bathroom outside, like he's not like shotgun spraying water out of his ass.
Yeah.
It's just like a solid dropping, right?
Yes.
Like that's how
Yes.
we're meant to digest as mammals, right? As humans. I think.
But then it becomes just like a norm in the vegan. Like when you're vegan, it's just like I don't know.
Listen, if you're about to like launch off the toilet seat and shotgun blast your way up, like your asshole out of yourself, like that's probably not good, right? Like, I'm just calling it what it is. Like
also, your body's not absorbing food as well. I didn't feel like my body was really absorbing all the nutrients because my gut was not well. Because I didn't have that good digestion. So even whatever I was eating, like the plant-based protein, I wasn't absorbing it well.
So what are some practices that you do now to pick out your meat? Because I feel like you are very thoughtful about your health. And I would love to know, like, do you make sure things have certain standards when you're eating them? What is your diet now?
So when I moved to Austin 2 years ago, like I said, that's when Texas is so meat. Like meat is so good here. Like you can get it from really good sources. And so I started eating a lot of it. I read the book Real Food for Pregnancy and I learned a lot there. And I was like, because I had had a miscarriage before and I was like, okay, I need to like really dial down my nutrition during this pregnancy. So I started going to the farmer's market. So I try to get most of my protein from the farmer's market, which is like local farmers where I live from. There's like a pork person, lamb, chicken, beef,
Selfishly,
eggs,
which
everything.
There's
farmers
some really good
markets are
farmers
there?
markets out here.
Dripping Springs.
Dripping Springs.
It's really good.
Is it on Saturday or Sunday or both?
It's Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah, it's on Wednesday.
Okay, you have to send me the
Wednesday
info.
yeah, I'll send you the
Okay.
info. Yeah, it's Wednesday in
Maybe
the
I'll
mornings.
come meet you there sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can
for
show me what to get.
You'll love it. It's actually voted one of the best farmers markets in Texas.
I'd like a date
because
there.
It's totally different from like a California farmers market because you go to California and you see all the veggies, all the fruit. Here you get like all the meat, and there's even like a local seafood guy there.
Yum.
So it's really good. So that's where I try to get most of my things. And then also, Sprouts or even HEB has some like good quality, like grass fed, grass finished. So that that's really important for me. Like for us, for Dorian, my husband and I, we're both very picky about like what the quality. And I feel like it makes all the difference.
Sure.
We get our raw milk also like every week there's a pickup, or every other week we pick up our raw milk and raw cheese.
You got to give me all these hookups.
I'm
I feel
gonna
like
give
you're
you
like
all
a drug
these
dealer.
hookups.
I don't have a raw cheese dealer and a raw milk
Yeah,
dealer.
yeah.
Raw
By
milk's
the
a
way, raw
commodity.
milk has
so
been so
good.
hard to get right now.
I know.
It's like, I'm like, what is going on?
It's a commodity.
It's a
It is.
commodity. The Richardson Farms ran out.
The one from Barton Creek.
I
Is that the
think
guy
so.
from
Paul
Barton?
Saladino
Yeah.
is the one that,
Yeah.
that talked about it. And I was getting Richardson Farm. And now I'm trying to find like a dealer to get raw milk.
Oh, I have you.
Okay,
I got you.
All right.
Yeah.
God.
You get on this co-op. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
So, I do eat. So basically, like, I this pregnancy actually, I've actually focused even more so on protein because I've been doing more weightlifting. So, when I first met Brent, I was in my first pregnancy, and I was going to him like 2 or 3 times a week, but I was a little bit like hesitant to lift much because I was like, I would always tell him like, I don't want my legs to get big because I was coming from like a Pilates background or
I
something.
can hear Brent's response to you
Yeah.
in my head.
Yeah, he'd be like, they're not gonna get big. And so, but I wasn't like, I was still in like that mindset where I want to be like, I thought weightlifting would make me bulky. So now in my second pregnancy, when I found out I was pregnant, I was already like weightlifting, and I just work out from home, like dumbbells. But I have noticed that ever since I started to eat a lot more protein, I have more muscle and I have less cravings.
And your body composition shrinks.
Yes, your
That's
body.
the craziest
it's
part.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get bigger. No. Yeah.
You know what else? This is so weird. I haven't talked about this enough. I've noticed too that the skin on my body and on my face.
Mm-hmm.
Now the face could be from mewing and mouth taping.
Your skin looks amazing, by the way.
I swear to God, lifting weights, like that your skin gets tighter to the
No,
muscle.
It's not that your skin's tighter, it's just you have muscle underneath
But
it.
I do think mewing, and I'm obsessed with mewing right now. I can't shut up.
Mewing?
But listen, not to single
Tongue
women.
posture.
Not to single women
I'll
out
tell you.
here.
Okay. But basically mewing and mouth taping is like a workout for your jaw in the same way weights is.
Yeah, but not to single women out here. But I think when men that weightlift hear women say they don't want to get too strong and too big and too bulky,
I
like,
said that.
well, we roll our eyes and like, do you understand how hard it is to put
But
on
you
muscle?
don't
That's
understand-
all we try and do.
You don't
right?
understand that we've been ingrained
Yeah.
to believe that. And then I think there's a lot of women, and I've talked about this a little bit, who are genetically thin and long and lean,
Yeah.
who
For
come
sure.
on social media and they're just genetically like that. And they
Yeah.
say they do a certain workout and they say they eat a certain way, when a big part of it is that they're just genetically like that.
Yeah.
There
There's
needs
not-
to be more conversation around lean women who lift weights all the time.
There is
Does
not
that make sense?
Yes, that
a
makes
single
sense. Yeah.
disadvantage for men, women, anyone in the world. There's not one disadvantage for having a little bit more muscle mass.
Oh, no, I completely.
Just from like even a structural
But
standpoint.
I was
Yeah.
the same way. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't want this to get big. I don't want that to get big. But I noticed that my pants now are falling off me, not because the body composition is shrunk.
Yeah.
Do
yeah.
you notice
you look
that?
amazing. Yes.
No, I still
yes.
have my trust. It takes a year and a half.
And again, like not to pick on a vegan diet, and I think we're going to have somebody on here soon that can speak about how to properly get the right protein sources if you choose that lifestyle or that diet. But in order to build muscle, obviously, you need abundant protein sources in order to sustain it. And I think
For
that's
sure.
like sometimes when people start to struggle with body composition and they're wondering why maybe their skin is getting looser or they're gaining a little bit of weight or they're not having that composition, it's because you need to do the muscle building and you also need the protein to sustain it. And it's
For
hard if
sure.
you're not getting the right sources. I mean, there's ways to
Yeah.
do it, as you know,
Yeah.
but it's
Okay,
It's hard to
I have
absorb it.
some business that I need to talk to Yovana about. First of all, what are wellness things that you do in the morning?
Before that, can I just say that I
First.
feel
Yes.
like this conversation in 2019, I don't think people would be ready to hear. Like, I feel like there's been such a bad connotation on red meat that people are finally realizing, and including myself, that like it's actually really good for us and it's not bad, and we need it for everything. So I'm just so happy that we're all opening up to this because
I think you have to be you have to be open to other ideas. Even like no matter what I think, I always try to leave space to hear other people's opinions because it's like what you said earlier when you almost aren't at request for coaching and you can't hear any other ideas besides yourself, it becomes too intense.
Yeah.
Well, people have to be.
Yeah.
We've talked about this on the show. People have to be very careful with extremes because extremes get answered with other extremes. People wonder why there's so much political strife in this country is because some people on both sides went so far left and so far right where it's kind of hard to distinguish where the middle is now. And as it relates to plant-based and meat is like, you see this huge push for veganism or plant-based diets. And now what do you see? You see a huge push for going all carnivore, all meat.
For sure.
And I think people have to be careful with that too. Like there's a middle ground that exists somewhere that's probably a reasonable choice.
100%.
But that's the problem with the internet is the loudest, most extreme voices get the most airplay.
Of course.
Reasonable people kind of just fall by the wayside and like,
Yeah.
okay. Like people
That's-
like the clickbaity,
Yes.
loud, extreme stuff.
Yeah. It calls people's attention.
Yes.
Really
Sorry.
quick before we
Yes.
get into wellness and beauty,
Yeah.
did I hear that you got your implants removed?
Yes, I did.
You have to just talk a
I
little
did.
bit about that.
I got them removed in 2019 too. And that was part of my healing journey after I started eating animal protein because I started learning about breast implant illness. And even though I didn't feel like I had like big symptoms of it, I was going to initially change the implants, but then I started looking into it. And I was like, maybe I just take them off because I started hearing about like the hormone imbalances that you can have. I thought maybe that was affecting my hair loss because nothing was helping my hair. I felt like nothing was helping it. And so then I was like, I'm just going to remove them because my body like never really accepted. I always had issues with them.
And did you notice anything afterwards that was better or worse?
I just felt like better, like
you feel lighter.
I want lighter. Yeah, just I can't explain it.
I get what you're saying.
Just I think it was part of the brain fog, the hormone imbalance. I feel like that played a big role in it, and my hair could have been affected by it too.
Your hair looks beautiful, which is why you have to tell us before you go beauty and wellness things that you do in the morning and the night.
So I'm really big on skincare, like non-toxic skincare.
What's your favorite brand?
I love Coco Kind is one of my favorite brands. And I'm big about and tallow. I also use tallow. Tallow on my skin is
Talk about that.
The best. Super hydrating. Like I've noticed that just keeping my skin hydrated helps me from getting like lines on my forehead or like lines that I see sometimes around my eyes. So I've really double down on like hydrating my skin. So tallow is beef fat, and beef fat is essentially the oils in it. The fat in it is like very similar to the oils that our skin produces, so our skin like absorbs it really well and it doesn't clog up our pores. So I use that as a moisturizer.
Now, here's the thing. After Paul Saladino's episode, I went and rubbed beef fat all over my face and my arms because I don't give a fuck. I will rub fucking manure on my face if it's good for it.
Let's not do
But the
that.
only problem is my daughter's like, you smell, because I smelled like beef tallow. So I went and I was like looking for companies. I found one. I'll post it on my Instagram story. That's a small business. It's amazing. That does tallow, and they like mix it with some essential oils.
Yeah.
Is there a brand that you like, or are you actually going for the epic beef tallow?
Oh no, there's a brand. I just found it. I can't remember the name. Something at Tufan Organics or something like that.
I
You have to
might
post
have
it.
it in my office.
Yes.
You
But
The meat mafia guys came in and gave me
you
some.
need some tallow. I'm telling you, you need a little tallow. You could use some on the lines, the cursive lines. I'm telling you.
Interesting.
So I found a brand that mixes it with olive oil and jojoba oil, and not with coconut oil, which I use the coconut oil and tallow for my belly and for my body, but not for my face.
You don't want to use coconut oil on the face. Okay, so what are some other things that you do? Wellnessy beauty.
I use a rosemary oil on my scalp before I wash my hair. So
Right.
I feel like that's helped the hair growth, and I just rub it all over my scalp before I wash it. And then I like to make a hair mask with eggs and honey and olive oil. So I mix that and then I just put it on my hair. And then I wash my hair. So that's one thing I do for my hair. My skincare, I do like to use the ice roller.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I love it.
I got you balls.
Oh, thank you.
We've come a long way from the raw days.
I know. A long way. I know. Now even beef fat all over my skin. So yeah, those are some things I like to do in the morning and evening.
And where can everyone find you, follow you, support you? What is your next endeavor? You are 32 weeks pregnant.
Yes, I'm
Congrats.
32 weeks pregnant. Thank you. I'm about to be a mom of 2. Everyone can find me on Instagram at Yovana, and my YouTube channel. I have 2, one in Spanish, one in English. And the one in English is Yovana Mendoza. So they can follow me there as well.
I think your story is so cool. And I think it's very courageous of you to be able to evolve like this on social media in front of
you.
everyone. Because
Thank
my fucking God, does everyone have an opinion?
Oh,
God
yeah.
damn.
Oh my gosh, everyone does. But you just you've been on social media for many years. You just get like tough skin, and then I don't even read the comments.
You just,
No.
Well-
Or if I read something, I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I will see you at the farmer's market and at Brent's.
Yay. Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you.